the neighborhood I came from and going into the military, it was like a culture shock. Um, it was so tough for me. I kept like it's there's tests that you have to take to move up each level, and I kept failing every test. I was good with the physical. Give me a weapon, like, I passed those tests, but when it came to like the mental stuff, I wasn't the best. So I Jay isn't giving up because a lot of people give up in this space. A lot
Yeah,
of people are like, all right, a few things happen and they're done, but you're like, look, I'm coming and I'm coming
yeah,
hard,
yeah,
dream
grind,
big.
yeah,
Come
dream
on
big, yeah,
now.
definitely,
Yes.
yeah, literally, like literally,
I love it.
yeah,
I love
because back in the day, it's like, yo, you had to talk to somebody. Had to have that conversation and talk to somebody.
it.
And I'm gonna just be honest, like I think
No.
that social media has made it comfortable
Yeah.
with that presence where it's like, okay, well, I see you at the oh yeah, you were there. I took a picture. Well, you could have came over here and said hello. Like, come
Yes.
on now. Like, what's going on? You could have said hello. You could have said hi. You could have did this, did that. And I The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said, the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said, you're up and I'm up. Y'all now tuned in to the Grind Hard Dream Big Show. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I got a special guest in the building. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Miss Hardy, and I am the founder of Guns Down Friday.
So I appreciate you for being here. So your childhood, like where you were born, where you were raised, can you speak to that?
Yeah, so I grew up. A lot of people think I'm from Prince George's County, but I actually was born in Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I moved here when I was in kindergarten. My father was abusive to my mom, and she wanted to get away, so we chose Capitol Heights, Prince George's County, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. So like
Yeah.
as far as your like childhood experiences, like, from like school and like hobbies and things like that, what did you find yourself like into early?
Um, I wasn't really a sports girl. Um, I really didn't have any like true hobbies, but I grew up in church with my mom, so the my nonprofit and the way I grew up, it's all like I really take after my mom. She was a missionary in church. We were we went to a church with a lot of older people, so I was always at funerals.
Mhm.
I remember one time me and a young lady, it was a funeral going on, and we're like playing in the pews, so of the church, just playing around because we were just so used to being in that atmosphere.
Mm.
So my mom, she would be the one when someone passes away, she would go to their house, help with funerals, bring them Popeye's chicken. But yeah, that was kind of my childhood. Every year we went to something called a church convention where we get together with other churches. So it was very. Oh, I didn't. I wasn't allowed to wear pants growing up. I
Wow.
know, weird. So I always had to wear dresses. It was part of our religion. I grew up apostolic.
Okay.
So that was kind of my childhood. Just every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, we were in church.
Got
So
you. Nah, knowing the Lord early for sure though. That's
yeah,
definitely good.
yeah.
So
I still was a rough girl though. Don't get
got
it
you.
twisted.
Got you.
I was still outside. We lived in a rough neighborhood, so I seen a lot of deaths. But yeah, I still was outside, but that's what took up a lot of our
Got
time.
you. So as you like transition from like the early to like I guess like high school, like how was like the high school experiences for you?
High school growing up was just really tough for me. I didn't really know what I wanted to do or wanted to be when I grew up. And my aunt, I realized my aunt and her husband, they were in the military. So I knew at a young age, maybe about 17, that I wanted to join the military. Didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And then in high school, I had a child, uh, my daughter, who's now 17. Now 17. My daughter is not 17. My daughter is 19.
Time be flying,
I
man.
know, right?
Time be flying.
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, yeah. So that was my high school years. I knew I wanted to join the military, so I had her, and 2 years later, I was in the military.
Got you.
Yeah.
So as you like
Mm-hmm.
pivoted from that, because I think that that's very, very bold. So from high school going into the military, like how was that like starting out, and then like what did you have to adapt and adjust to?
It was tough. Just coming from the neighborhood I came from and going into the military, it was like a culture shock. Um, it was so tough for me. I kept like it's there's tests that you have to take to move up each level, and I kept failing every test. I was good with the physical. Give me a weapon, like, I passed those tests, but when it came to like the mental stuff, I wasn't the best. So I remember they planned my graduation one month, and my mom coming up, my daughter, and they was like, Hardy, you failed the test, you're not graduating. So I had to stay in another month for training just to get the book side together. And in the military, my job was mortuary. I was on the search and recovery team.
Mm.
So yeah, it was tough. It was a rough upbringing, um, rough in the military. But I always say the streets built me for the military. If you're coming from the streets, then being in the military is like a piece of cake.
Got you.
Um, it, it's actually safer in the military than it is in the streets that we live in every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's heavy.
Yeah.
So as you I guess like transition from that, like the love for community or like finding community, like how did you segue into like the community outreach and the community work? Like what was the call to action for you?
So when I was in training, I remember my mom coming up, and she sat me well, growing up, like I said, I had a rough upbringing, and I used to hang with a group of it was about 15 boys. My uncle Russell, he mentored, and he just took care of these boys like they were his own, from a neighborhood called Woodland. And I grew up with these boys. They were like my brothers. So in when I went off to the military, in training, my mom came up to see me, and she sat me down, and she said, Joanna, your uncle was shot in the face by one of the kids. Well, he wasn't a kid anymore, but um one of the young men that you grew up with. Um, so when I got home, I just knew I wanted to do something in those communities. So I actually started helping out with the families that that shot my uncle, and the people in the neighborhood. So that's kind of what got me started. And I was going to a lot of kids were dying. So I went to like one of those, they have so many rallies when someone dies, everybody, we got to do something.
Right.
So I went to a one of those like rallies, and they said every Friday, because kids were getting shot every Friday.
Right.
So they said, every Friday we're going to go into the community, and we're going to call it Guns Down Friday. So I was like, okay, I can do this. So the first few weeks it was strong, hundreds of people. And when the third week came, it was maybe 5 or 6 people. And I recognized this trend, like when someone gets shot, the community is angry, we have a march, and then after that, people go back to their normal lives. And when I went into these communities, these kids that were affected, they didn't go back to their normal lives, they were still affected, um, while everyone just kind of left them. So I said, you know what, I'm going to continue to work with these kids. I'm going to continue to work with these families. Like, yeah. And so that's how I, kind of got started.
For sure. I think that
Yeah.
is definitely you have to be a special individual to do it.
Yeah.
It's not just a hey, you know what? I think I want to do this. Not like you have to be
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
intentional when you're definitely working in community and then
Mm-hmm.
definitely working with kids. So as you are seeing it, like what are some of the issues that kind of are lingering? Like when you started working with the youth, like what are some things that you felt like okay, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing.
Oh my gosh. I also forgot to mention, running Guns Down Friday also led me to a position. I say they created this position just for me. I was the first in this position, but I'm also a violence intervention specialist at Children's National, where I see all the kids that get shot, see kids that get stabbed, injured in a fight, and things of that nature.
Mm.
But some of the things I really saw that was missing, it was just small things. Like a lot of the children are like missing a mom in their home, missing a dad. It you know a lot of times they when they lose someone, they lose a piece of their support system.
Mm.
During COVID, because we came out like right before COVID, a lot of grandparents, they were losing a lot of grandparents to COVID. So with those laws, it was just like I said, little things. I remember one family that we were working with. We were picking these kids up every Friday, taking them out, just having a good time. Um, paying for football equipment and things of that nature. And we do this in several neighborhoods, but like a lot of the trap houses, people live in those homes. Some of them are abandoned buildings, but a few kids actually live there. So one in particular, it was about 7 kids and they were all sleeping on the floor. So
Mm.
we were able to go in and do a room makeover, provide triple bunk beds, new carpet, new everything. So, it just those small things makes a difference in a child's life. But no family that we work with is the same. Every need is totally different, and that's what makes it tough with the system because they want to do like a one size fits all. Like, okay, this one thing is going to help end gun violence, but it's different in every child or family's life.
For sure. I
Yeah.
think that like I said myself, just seeing what the issues are with the youth. Like I said, working with youth, rather it be the lack of guidance, like you sat there and said, either mom's not there or dad's not there, or both may be there, but they still reaching and trying to find somebody that they can talk to or have a safe space and things like that. And they're eager to learn. A
Yeah.
lot of the kids are eager to learn. They just want to know how to. Like if you sit there and tell them how, it's like, yo, show me how to. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I think that
definitely.
that's a big part that
Uh-huh.
that I realize and saw, where it's like, okay, opportunities not being presented to them
Mhm.
as well. Rather they're in middle school and high school. Like there's a lot of kids I know that they're growing up way too fast, or
Oh
they're just
yeah.
exposed to a lot. You know
Oh
what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
not their fault. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, it's like, yo, okay, you growing up so fast, it's like you being robbed of your childhood. Like you
Yes.
speeding up. Like, yo, you in middle school, but dog, you moving like you in high school. You moving like you an adult. Oh, I
Yes.
got to babysit this kid. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I think that's the trauma or their situation that they have to deal with. And then they have to take it to school.
Oh yeah.
And then when they take it to school, it's like, okay, the youngin may be lashing out, but we don't even know why. And then maybe the trauma that they have to deal with at home, or what they have to see on the way to get to school.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's just another battle within itself. So, as someone that is passionate and an advocate for the kids, like these are the things I see that are
Yeah.
alarming every day, that are like, yo, okay, we need more systems and programs and things like that in place to keep them safe, but then to keep them educated too.
Oh yeah. And consistency, like, they a lot of people do a one time program or one time event and it's beautiful, but these kids need consistency. That's why I love the work that you do, Jay. It's amazing. Just all the work that you do. I even think about when you first started the what you call it, the David Busters.
Yes, the Dave and
Yeah.
Buster's event. Shout out
Yeah.
to Kim. Shout out to
Yes.
Kim. Yeah,
Yes.
that's my mentor right there. She definitely like encouraged me and just definitely like challenged me with that. So like that's our initiative, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure,
Yeah.
we've been
And
consistent.
being consistent. How long have you been doing that?
Yeah, this is about to be year 5 now.
Oh
Yeah, it's about to be year 5
wow.
now. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
for sure.
always I think I came to the first two and
Yes,
I always break down even when I think about it because I remember one year I brought teenagers and the following year I wasn't able to come because I was so emotional
right,
that I lost one of the kids. Like I would look at the pictures from us going to David Buster's and but I lost one of the kids that
right.
I brought to the event. So yeah, I was
Yeah,
I still tear up just thinking about my babies that
Yeah.
I've lost.
And I
So,
and I think that, like I said, like it goes to show like what activism looks like and what
mm-hmm.
mentorship and leadership looks like. So like I said, like you've dealt with a lot in the space. So like how is networking for you in the space?
Oh, Jay, you going there?
Yeah, networking.
Oh,
Or
um,
how important is it to like
it's
have the collaboration
so
part?
one is very important. I don't know if it's like this in other like fields, which I'm pretty sure it is, but like networking is sometimes good and sometimes it's just like draining because I call it like crabs in the bucket. Like some people like they don't want to share their resources, and even myself, like I've become like, be very transparent, but like I'm like more and more to myself now because it's just like I noticed back when we started gun violence prevention, it wasn't any money in gun violence prevention. So it wasn't a lot of people. Now there's millions and millions into gun violence prevention, and now it brings people that aren't true and real to the work. So it makes it difficult to
Mm-hmm.
like work alongside someone who's doing it for a check when the person next to you just doing it from the heart.
Right.
I remember when I first started my nonprofit, I said people get paid for a nonprofit. I thought it was nonprofit. I
Right.
thought no
Right.
money was involved. So just learning the ropes, but I can't say networking is all bad either.
No.
Like
No. No. For sure.
there's some people I've connected with and people like you.
Right.
So, celebrities. I literally just left the Durant Center today. They had an appreciation dinner for their community partners, and I
That's what's
was a
up.
part of that.
That's what's up.
I've been
Salute.
doing, yes. Shout out to the Durant Center. I've been doing a lot of work with them. Um, but yeah, networking isn't all bad. I enjoy our partners, the kids. They enjoy working with different organizations and people like Mark Choppa. I don't want to start naming because it's just so
Yeah.
many. I
So many
work with
names. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many
Nah.
people,
For sure.
dope people. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think that I think alignment and intentionality is the key, right?
yeah.
Because it's like, okay, if we have an initiative, I have an idea, you got
Mm-hmm.
resources, I got resources. Well, let's just go ahead and spread the wealth. You know what I'm saying? Let's just go
Yeah.
ahead and do that. So
Yeah.
I do get you on that because there is times where it's like, okay, yeah, I see the work and I see what you're doing, but then it's like, oh yeah, you know what? That look cool. Let me go ahead and put my feet over here. But
Yeah.
it may not be that though. Like, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
what it's, yeah. So
Yep.
I definitely can understand that. I definitely think that, networking is important, but as long as you know that you have value and something to bring to the table.
That's
And
right.
I think that
Yep.
I had to learn that, like, okay, as I progressed, and it's like, okay, cool. The work, as long as you remain consistent in doing what you're doing and you're learning, and there's people that have done, what you want to do and you
Mm-hmm.
envision that, you see how events are set up or whatever you're trying to
Yeah.
learn and study, just keep studying and keep learning because when your opportunity comes, it will come. You just
Yeah.
got to continue to work towards it.
Yes. That's so true. And that's something I'm learning. Like, like I said, when I first started, it was just, oh, I just want to help people. And it's like now it's a whole business.
Yeah.
It's people are donating and so now it's turned into a business. So trying to juggle the business aspect and still being able to be on the ground because I love like I love the nonprofit, but I just like being on the ground. I just want to do the work. Like
Yeah.
I just love doing the work, being with the
Right.
kids. So that that's a tough like line for me.
It
I ain't
is.
gonna lie to you,
No,
Jay.
no, no. We on the
That's a
same.
tough.
We on the same line. Trust and believe, because I love doing it too. But it's like, all right, my mental capacity. I got to be in the right space. I got to
Mm-hmm.
be in the right mind. And
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
big. Yeah,
Definitely gotta be in a.
right space. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard because I'm learning also. It's like you can't be superhero to
Come on
everybody.
now. Come on
And it's so
now.
hard because it's like, yo, you in the community, you ain't hear about this, and it's like, yo, I'm trying to protect my peace right now. Like,
Man.
yo,
Yeah. Why you
no,
ain't going to this? Why you
right,
not doing that? Look,
yeah,
because I'm one person.
right, yeah, and it's so hard because it's like, yeah, you do care for the kids, and yeah, you want to be there, but it's like, I want to actually be there, and what I mean
Yes.
by that is like, I want to make sure that I'm mentally there,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually there, physically there. I want to make sure that I'm there. I don't want to just be like, all right, I'm physically here, but mentally I'm somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, and there's been times where you can show up in places and not always be there.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it's hard. It's
Yes.
hard. It's
Yeah.
hard.
So many times I've showed up and just like when I first started, I had about just this one neighborhood. You know, I work in different neighborhoods, but
Right.
one neighborhood I had about 15 kids, and seven of them passed away, and the rest of them are currently incarcerated. So I had to really slow down.
Mm,
I had to, one, because it took a little toll on me,
right.
just not having my babies around. Like these were like my, I would call these kids and or I would pull up and they hopping in my car, not even calling their parents. Parents will call me, Miss Hardy, you got such and such. Yeah, they with me. So like I had a real, deep relationship with the youth, with these kids. So just like trying to find that balance, like, all right, I got to slow down and really figure out the programming side of this and what I can really do to help change their lives. When I first started, I just knew every kid I work with, I was going to save their life. They weren't going to pass away, but I realized how much trauma,
Mm,
and I don't live in these homes, so I'm not there 24/7. So I had to really do some praying, and just really figuring out this system and where I stand, because I was running to every event. And I remember two of my children passed away. I was at an event and I just felt so bad. I can't always be there for everything, but um that's when I really slowed down. With I said, you know what, I gotta get focused. I gotta really figure out how to help these children in a real way. So
nah, for sure. And that's why I said, like, for myself, like, even like getting involved, I had to understand that. So, like I
mm-hmm.
said, like, I'm grateful for, Kimberly Marshall. I'm grateful for, like, Backpack Jeff, because, like, Miss Kim, she helped me in the community space, and
Yeah.
Jeff, he helped me in the speaking space. So, like, understanding how
Mm,
it goes is just like, all right, cool. And now where I'm at, it's like, okay, if I didn't learn those things from them, I wouldn't be, you know what I'm saying, where I'm at now. I
yeah.
mean, of course, my mom and my dad too, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to
Mm-hmm.
mom for sure. But like understanding that and the power of mentorship, because I
Yes.
feel like now that I'm in that position as well, there's other people that want to learn too.
She
So
got to
because
bring
of
up.
that, it's like you want to also help them too. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, it's exciting to see you grow. Like I remember like when you first started, and just to see you now, it's like, "Oh my gosh, Jay isn't giving up." Cuz a lot of people give up in this space. A lot
Yeah.
of people are like, "All right, a few things happen and they're done." But you're like, "Look, I'm coming and I'm coming
Yeah.
hard,
Yeah,
dream
grind,
big.
yeah,
Come
dream
on
big, yeah,
now."
definitely,
Yes.
yeah, literally, like literally,
I love it.
yeah,
I love
because
it.
I realized that like as you continue to learn, you just like I said, you're learning, you're building, and then you just realize what it is. And I think for myself, like doubt had set in early, because
Mm.
I always have felt like, okay, if I do this, I would get that.
Yes.
If I did this, I would get that too. But then it's like,
Yes.
okay, it's like, no, okay, so is it the instant gratification, like the app that we have, which Instagram, or is it,
Mhm.
okay, am I really being intentional about it? You know what I'm saying? So like I know like it was a point in time where it's like, oh yeah, well, you're not doing this. I'm thinking about like comparison and all this
Wow.
other stuff. So like people didn't even really know. Like the motivational videos is not literally for like other people, it's for myself. I'm
Wow.
saying it in real time. Like it's therapy for me, and
Wow.
I'm sharing that with the world. Some people thinking like, oh yeah, he went through that. I'm going through it right now. What y'all talking about?
Wow.
Like that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like that's my reassurance for myself. How do I stay motivated? That's how I stay motivated.
Mm. Oh
That's
wow.
how I stay motivated. So when
Yeah.
people look at it, it's like, okay, but then it just served as that, and then like having the outlet to express myself, because I literally feel like the reason why I started is because when I watch the news, it's all negative.
Oh
Ain't nobody talking about nothing positive.
yeah.
So why not create something that can be positive, so somebody could be like, all right, you know what, I can watch this
Yeah. And
instead.
you look, you put your videos out early in the morning. You make sure when you wake up,
Yeah,
if you feeling any type of way, but I love your videos. I told you this several times, but
yeah,
I love those videos. They're so motivational.
yeah,
Like if I'm feeling down, I know I can go to your page and just scroll through, and get an encouraging word.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, I
Yeah, and
love
that's what it
it.
is. Literally, I want to be able to motivate and inspire the next person because, like, we all go through a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like, even in that space, it's so hard because we're like, okay, well, we may not feel valid because, oh, I don't got that many followers or
Mm-hmm.
likes or views or, oh, yeah, these connections, but we don't know. I mean, that's just the app. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then when people see us in real life, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why I had to really like tell myself, like, because it was just a point where I was literally like, my first page, because like my first page was JFlow 301. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
remember
like
that.
that joint, and then it's like, all right, but I got the followers, everything like that. I felt like I was good. Boom, 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 boom. Then all of a sudden my joint got hacked.
Oh
My joint
wow.
got hacked literally. Then I had to start my page all over again. But God was screaming at me
Mm.
because it was like, oh, you was focused on the views. You was focused on
Wow.
the likes. You was focused on the comments. That
Mm.
1,000 followers made you feel like you was here, huh? All right, bet. Let me go ahead and bring it on. Let me break it all up. So
Yeah.
God was literally telling me to revamp, recharge, and refocus. And then when I started
Mm.
my page back over again, I just went back to doing the motivational videos, and
Mm-hmm.
he's like being intentional, and everything God multiplied tenfold.
Wow.
So I just had to tell myself, like, even in that space, for anybody that's like looking at it, like it's not about like the likes and the wants.
Yeah.
It's about the needs and the love.
Yeah.
So just go that
Definitely.
route as opposed to like the likes and the wants and surrounding like because as you're surrounding yourself with more people, you want to continue to add the value because if you're not adding the value and you're just surrounding yourself with people, you're gonna get lost.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Oh yeah. And I found myself at that point, just being lost. Um, but one thing I admire about you is you're really able to bring people together and bring people out. So, it might be even the people I saw at the event, I'm like, oh, I ain't never seen them at an event. So it's like, it's very powerful. And I truly admire that. And with the like followers, I remember, first starting off too, also, um, we have a large following. But I would just make sure I was like posting other people's videos and things of that nature. I think that's what really, and I started I think the time I started was just perfect. It wasn't, a lot of people weren't on gun violence prevention. So I think that's how I gained a lot of followers. It's just being in the space at the right time.
Yeah, for sure. And then
Yeah.
like finding your lane and just not knowing it's like there's no traffic there when you find your lane. And when
Yeah.
everybody's doing it, it's like, okay, well, who and that's where it's hard because a lot of people are like, okay, well, you do this work, I do this work, we do the same thing. So like who does it best? But it's like, no, it's not who does it best.
Yes.
It's more so like, is it gonna be effective and it's gonna literally stretch all across
Right.
and being intentional. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like if we in the same neighborhood, we in the same, radius, we should be able to, put the resources together and,
Yeah.
and, and service that
And
regardless. You know
yeah,
what I'm
and
saying?
I always say like some people that do the same work as I in the same area, I always say we gonna run into each other. We working with the same communities, like the same youth. It's a small population of youth that are like that really need those wraparound services. So I always say if we're not running into each other, it's a problem. If I'm not running into you in the community and at events and things of that nature, then I don't know where you at. And it's funny because so many people do the work, but it's the same ones showing up.
Mm,
So,
mm.
we see the same people at everything we do. We seeing the same people. And I feel like those are the ones that truly do the work.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that like because I know like when back in the day, it's like yo, you had to talk to somebody, had to have that conversation and talk to somebody, and I'm gonna just
no.
be honest, like I think that social media has made it comfortable
Yeah.
with that presence, where it's like okay, well, I see you at the oh yeah, you were there, I took a picture. Well, you could have came over here and said hello. Like, come
Yes.
on now. Like, what's going on? You could have said hello. You could have said hi. You could have did this, did that. And I think that those in person, you know, interactions and conversations, that goes a long way.
It
It does.
does. It's crazy because at the event, the school event, somebody was like, I didn't say my name until the end. They was like, "Oh, you're Miss Hardy DC. I've never met you in person." And so yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of people got to understand, like, we got to be able to bring that, like, communication back. I mean,
Yeah.
because I think that that's very, very important.
Yes, yeah. I'm doing better, but I don't know if you notice, I don't really post that much anymore because I'm trying to get more personal,
Hmm.
like showing up more. Because you can easily like just repost something and feel like you've done. Oh, I've done enough. So I'm trying to learn to be more intentional, more personal, and really showing up in person.
That's fire. I like that.
Yeah.
I actually love that for you. I do.
Yeah.
I think that shows growth and elevation as well because,
Mhm.
like I said, like you go through a lot,
Oh
and a lot
yeah.
of people may look at the title and be discouraged, but it's a heavy
Oh
responsibility.
yeah.
And like I said, I commend you for that because I know that there's a lot of spaces that you are called to
Mhm.
that you man, I don't even feel like going, but I got to go, and
Yes.
it's like and it just plays out to the point where it's like okay, and even for yourself, like speaking out on things that are really really passionate to yourself. And I know sometimes you're probably like, I am not available, I'm just
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
because I have to be here, I'm
Definitely.
obligated to be here, and that's what it is, and that's what it's gonna be. Okay, all
Yes.
right.
Yes. Like with the and I some stuff I just learned to stay out of it now because like with the gun violence prevention, they're taking out millions of dollars. And like for example, I witnessed an organization uh have three social workers for one kid.
Wow.
And it's just like you know, I don't of course I don't want them to take the money away, but
No.
some people aren't doing the right thing with the money.
Got
So
you.
it's just like
Delegation.
do
Yeah.
I speak up? Do I be
Yeah.
quiet? Do I just support?
Yeah.
So that is really tough for me to, you know, cuz you don't want to knock anyone's fight.
Nah, you don't. But they're gonna be
But
like, nah, you've been fighting so hard. You gonna say something, right? You gonna say something, right? It's not like you if you just sat there and been quiet. Yeah,
yeah,
but I got
yeah.
you.
So
I
I'm
say something on
learning.
the back end, maybe not
Yeah.
now though. All right, not now. You hear it when the time is right.
Yes.
I'm still processing. All right,
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
with me. Work with me. I'll
Yeah.
work with you. All right,
Uh-huh.
cool.
And then I realized like when I'm speaking at a lot of these events and there might be someone from the community in that crowd and, you know, 1,000 may hate what I said, but it's that one person that's really going through, that's really struggling and like, you know what, Miss Hardy, I'm so glad you spoke up. I'm
Yeah,
so glad you said something because you're saying what a lot of other people are afraid to say.
right.
So it's a double edged sword.
Yeah, it's
So
that catch 22. Yeah, it's
yes,
hard. Yeah, nah, for
yeah.
sure. I mean, and I get that too because like a lot of people are like, okay, so like growing up in Prince George's County, we talking about the
Mm-hmm.
resources and everything for the kids, and it's like, okay, like what are we doing for the kids? There's a lot of events I've been to
Yeah.
where, okay, kids may be there, but kids on the opposite side, adults on
Yes.
this side, they just sitting there cooling. Kids on the other side, kids
Come on
want to be
now.
involved,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I want to salute you as well for coming to our youth summit for our second annual event that we did last year with the youth panel.
That
But I
was
mean to tell
dope.
you, it was a lot of like kinks and everything like that, just making sure
Yeah.
that it flowed accordingly. All the kids, they were aware of the questions, but that was their first time being together.
Oh
And the
wow.
conversation just flowed the way it
Yeah.
flowed. So God did a big one, and it was just like, yo, okay, and to bring that to the forefront, it's like, yo, the kids were dealing with all these different types of issues.
Yeah.
And these is we're talking about, middle, high, and early college.
Yeah.
And they were dealing with all of that. So for you all to, facilitate that yourself and my other homegirl, Shalise, it was just dope to, give the kids a space. Because
Yeah.
I've always looked at it like, okay, if I'm going to an event, I want to partake.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to do something.
Yeah.
So like for them to just talk about social media, to talk about real life and those issues, and then of course parents asking questions and
Yeah.
trying to tap in with them. That's how I believe that the community gets stronger. Give
Yes.
them the voice and understand, like, okay, give them the platform because they do have something to say.
Yeah.
They're
And it
not just cool and playing basketball,
mm-hmm.
sitting on nothing or whatever like that. Like, nah, they got something to say.
Yeah, it truly I feel like it truly empowered those kids, that those group of kids. But yeah, those moments are so important to the youth, to families, because a lot of events you go to, they're the higher ups and the people that run the event are the ones speaking and trying to get the limelight. But you know, the way you do it, you make sure the youth are put in the front.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And
that's
I
a
want them to know
beautiful
that.
thing.
And I want
Yeah.
them to know that because like that's how you advocate for yourself. That's the
Mm-hmm.
change. So it's like if you don't even know who you're local politician is or things like that.
Yeah.
Now that gives you the awareness to be like, all right, if I got an issue, I can come to this person.
Yeah.
I can go to him. I can go to her. I can go to this person, and then just giving
Mm-hmm.
them that awareness because like advocacy is important, and it's
Yeah.
not only in school. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
It's around your way, where you're from, your neighborhood, and things like that. So once we started doing that, then I realized like, okay, we really got something, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why the program and then everything that we're doing now is so vital because I really do feel like middle school and high school kids get forgotten.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Especially middle
yeah,
school.
they
I
get
don't know
forgotten.
what.
They
Yeah,
get
they
forgotten.
a lot of high school stuff, a lot of elementary,
Yeah,
but
but
that middle
nothing right.
school,
Yeah,
and that's the toughest
that's the
age,
yeah.
the
It is.
toughest
Yeah,
stage is that middle school, and they're like, they're so
yeah.
forgotten.
And it's like at the same time, that's the age of like the curiosity, the
Yes.
identity, and like I look at it as like, yo, that's like the last door before that door. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So like, you got to
Yep.
make sure that something is in that door, so that way they're good before they go to high
Mm-hmm.
school. So that's
Yeah.
why I feel like programming for them is important because we're having all these things happen, all this crime in the schools where you're having situations where people can't resolve conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Guns being brought into school, drugs being brought into school. But when I'm looking at these incidents, it's a cry for help.
Oh yeah.
It's a cry for help, and it starts somewhere. It's like, okay, if it's not at home, something you watching, or the influence, the lack thereof, the OGs, or the lack of the
Mm-hmm.
OGs, or the mentors, or something. So that really was alarming for me. And
Yeah.
some kids they'd be like, "Man, what's up, Unc?" I'm like, "Whoa, that's a
Oh
little
my
crazy,
gosh.
crazy. Don't call me Unc. That's crazy." But I
Yes.
get it though, or like being the OG, or being somebody that they could, like I said, look up to. So for me, I embrace it. I
Yeah.
embrace it. It's not, like I said, it's normal, but like I embrace it, and
Yeah.
I'm there to help them.
Yeah, I'm definitely an auntie in the neighborhood. I'm definitely an auntie. And then I realized a lot of the OGs are, well, I guess you can't call them OGs, but they look at an OG as someone with wisdom, someone who's going to tell them the right thing to do. But it can be somebody our age, or, someone our age, and they aren't considered an OG because they're the ones getting the kids to do these crimes, and
mm,
they're outside on the block with the kids, and it's
mm-hmm.
like, they don't look up to those type of people. I thought OG was just an age, but I realized it's a lifestyle. It's
Mm.
the way you move, the way you act, is what a OG, the definition of an OG to a young person.
Nah, I
So
definitely agree. I agree
yeah.
with that 100% because I think that that's what needs to happen. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm gonna sit there and like I'll be able to correct you and direct you. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
sit there and just be like, "Oh yeah, man, here you go," and neglect you.
Yeah.
Step off and
Uh-huh.
nah, I don't gotta sit there and worry about it no more because I wanted to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and find somebody else. At the end of the day, you basically telling him to crash out because you
Yeah.
crashed out, and that's
Uh-huh.
not cool.
Yeah.
So I don't. I feel like that's what it is also, and just really taking accountability.
Oh yeah.
For the actions and what it is. I really tell these kids all the time, you're not a product of your environment. Like when you're around me,
Mm.
it's atmosphere. We creating something. Like
Yeah.
regardless of what it is, like if you ain't get love there, you can get love here.
Yeah.
If you ain't get that here, you can get this here.
Oh
Like whatever
yeah.
you need, you can receive. Like I
Yes.
really want them to understand. And I think the hardest thing for these kids now with social media and everything going on is like they're losing their imagination.
Mm.
Cause like for them to dream is hard. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
live over here, so we don't really dream over here. We don't
Yeah.
really do that over here. Nah, we on the block all day. I see dice games all day. I see this all
Yes.
day. I see people smoking all day. I see all that all day. So I don't know what it's like to imagine.
Yeah.
Or if I'm around my friends or around people, they ain't talking like that. They ain't talking
Yeah.
about chasing dreams. They just talking about survival. So all I
Yeah.
gotta do is sit there and survive because I'm the fifth or sixth person that gotta do
That's
the same thing.
crazy.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
like it's a lot that they deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's the biggest thing, like the imagination. They still have to find ways to imagine.
Yeah. When a kid is shot at the hospital, one of my first questions I ask is, "What do you want to be when you grow up?"
Mhm.
And about 80% don't know. They're just like, I never thought about that. I'm like, you're 16, 15, and never thought about what you want to be when you become an adult.
Mm.
You got a few more years. You
Right.
got 3 years. You got 2 years.
Hmm.
So it's just amazing. I always ask, what do you want to be when you grow up, and what's your religion?
Mm.
And, a lot of them can't answer either question. So I'm like, look, we need to figure out what you want to be so you can envision something. We got to figure out a religion because you guys aren't scared of anyone, no higher power, anything.
Right.
So those are the two questions I ask, and you will be surprised at some of the answers. So
Yeah, not
yeah.
for sure. And I know, like, even for me, like, I know as a kid, like, I know it was always like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I ain't knocking nobody, but now I tell kids, like, yeah, it is kind of sort of like what you want to be when you grow up, but the biggest thing is like, what problem are you willing to solve? Because I
Mm.
feel
I
like,
think they were saying that in
yeah,
one of the
yeah, when you are willing
classes.
to like solve that problem, then you realize, okay, only you can solve it this type of way, only you can do it this type of way. So
Yeah.
because you're willing to solve that problem, that's what it really is. And I be telling the kids all the time, like, I ain't really like geometry ever because that was like the worst subject in my life. But the reason why I say that is because I was stuck on my own angle of life
Mm-hmm.
and how I saw things and like didn't understand perspective for real, for real. But like my teacher, he was just sitting there saying like at the end of it, because I passed it, he was just like, you always saw yourself using the equation and applying the information I gave you. So
Yeah.
now you're not afraid to solve problems. So I'm
Wow.
saying that to say like, don't be afraid for anybody to solve problems because
Yeah.
like don't be afraid to use the information that somebody give you to
Yeah.
solve something.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And I
and that's
always
what I'm
say,
saying. Yeah.
God led me to, um, God led me to gun violence prevention. I remember, I had a child in school, and I remember they voted me. It wasn't like in a yearbook or anything, but they voted me less likely to succeed.
Wow.
Yeah, because I had a child at such a young age, and but I always knew I wanted to be something when I grew up. Well, 15, 16, I knew I wanted to join the military. I knew I wanted to help change lives.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah, it's very surreal because, like I said, like even myself, like I'm, like it's still surreal for me, but I'm like I
Mm-hmm.
accept and embrace the assignment because, like, me being a, like helping kids, like
Yeah,
me. What you mean?
yeah.
Like God, you chose me
I,
with myself.
come on
What you
now.
mean, like with myself?
I'm
Like
like,
certain days where I felt
me?
unqualified or I
Yes.
was sitting there hard headed. I used to sit there and
Yeah.
spaz at the teacher or sit there and do this or didn't do my work or did this or whatever. Like, what? You chose me. And it's like, yeah. And my professors, when I was at Bowie State, shout out to Bowie State because I graduated from there. But like my professor, he sat there and told me, like, you gonna be the one to help the next generation. I looked at him, I was like, man, you crazy.
Oh
I don't
my.
know what you talking about, but you crazy. And my guidance counselor said, no, you are gonna sit there and help the youth, XYZ. And now I literally just saw I see my guidance counselor like every now and then. Shout out to Charles Herbert Flowers High School. I saw her not too long ago. She said, told you.
Yeah.
And then my professor, when I first started working with youth, oh, you got the job. Now walk in there like God told you. I told you was gonna be the person. So it was just like it just
Wow.
and then literally working, it didn't feel like work. And he sat there
Yeah.
and said, because that's what you was called to
Yeah.
do.
Uh-huh.
So now it's like, okay, I get it.
Wow.
I
And
get
then
it.
you just like look up, and it isn't like it just happens. You look up and you're like, "Oh wow, I am doing good. I
Yeah,
am that person."
for
Cuz a
sure.
lot of people come, they be like, "You this and you're that." I'm like, "Oh yeah. I forgot about that."
Yeah,
Even
because
with the
yeah.
White House, they're like, "You've been to the White House several." Like I had a group of kids. I had my foot on their neck. Joe Biden and the entire White House crew. But I want to say my group, the group of kids I work with, we've been in the White House so many times, from meetings to bowling, to Christmas events, Easter. But we've done so much, and it takes other people to say, Miss Hardy, you've done this and you've done that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. We have done this, we have done
Yeah,
that.
because I think it's because like for us it's just work. Like we don't
Yeah.
really want to look at it like, I mean, yes, it's not sitting there saying like they're not big,
Uh huh.
but I think that where it's one and similar is like, yo, like we just be grinding so much, we just be
Yeah.
working so much, so it's like that celebration is so hard for us
Oh my
because it's like, yo, we
gosh.
always are futuristic, like what's next, what's next, what's next,
Yeah.
and we have
Yeah.
to find ways to like celebrate
Uh
the
huh.
now. So like we got to figure out like what does the self-care look like for us,
Yes.
because we need that.
Yes.
And like being an energizer bunny, we need to be able to do that and things like that. So like how have you been able to like balance the self-care in this process?
Yeah. So this year has been a true year of self care. Like I'm all every month I'm going on a trip. I'm going somewhere. I'm doing something. I don't care if it's just going to Virginia Beach or something. But I've learned that I have to take care of myself. Um, but a lot of times when I'm helping others, I'm helping myself also.
For sure.
Like I remember that group of 15 I was talking about, they never put their feet in the sand. They had never been to a beach.
Wow.
So they had never been on a flight.
Wow.
These kids have never left DC. So we took a it was a beautiful trip to Miami, jet skis, um, 5-star restaurants, penthouse, and it was for them, but I truly
Yeah,
enjoyed
you enjoyed it
myself.
yourself, right?
So,
Yeah,
but
exposing them to things that they never seen before, been a part
yeah,
of. So creating that atmosphere and
yes,
experience for sure.
yes, definitely, definitely. But I'm in therapy. But I just do a lot of self care, from massages to just trying to stay grounded, just taking walks, just those little things. And a lot of people say, I don't know how you do it. And I just say, I'm built like I literally grew up going to funerals.
Mm,
So it's not, it's like a 9 to 5, and I have to be careful sometimes because I'll show up in a space. I remember Kim had to grab me one time because I showed up in a space, and everyone was mourning, and I forgot I was at a funeral. I forgot I was at a visual. Like I just I had my own thing going on, and I had to like really snap out of it because um sometimes you when you're working, you forget that other people are going through at that moment.
mm,
So, even some of my friends, they live at the cemetery.
mm.
Like it's a whole field after someone passes away, from funeral directors to being put in the ground. So, it's a whole life. Like it's a lot that goes on. I remember one funeral we went to it was a shooting at the burial, and a lot of people thought it was the family. It was the funeral directors.
Wow.
So it's sometimes I have to be careful. Like, okay, this is we're dealing with someone's life. We're dealing with it's a lot they're dealing with. So I have to be careful when I'm coming in spaces, and I just listen to good music before I go to work. I'm making sure I'm not on the phone, and I'm studying what I'm about to walk into, and things of that nature.
Now that's
So,
good. I mean, I know for me, like, I'm listening to motivational music. I'm
mm-hmm.
definitely listening to a lot of reggae. Reggae is so uplifting. I ain't gonna lie. Taking walks, exercising, just quiet time with God. I'm
Yeah,
up early in the morning, just quiet time, chilling for real, for real. Like, do not disturb. It's just me and God. I'm just
yeah.
walking, like, direct my steps, like, cause it'd be so hard sometimes, cause you wanna like control everything and feel like that.
Hmm.
So it's just like, nah, like God, take this out. Like if it's not of you, remove it,
Yeah,
please. If it's a thing or a person or like whatever I'm distracted by right now, and I need to get to the next level, like
yeah,
remove it.
yeah,
Because I know sometimes it's like we sometimes we get angry and we get upset and we beat ourselves up. And I am that type of person who was like, yo, how did I do that? For
yeah.
real? Like I'm tweaking
I'm a
again.
self beater.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't took the test, you failed it again the same exact way. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever like that. But
Yeah.
and it's just like you got to give yourself grace. Like the same grace that God gave you, like get that to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you got to realize like you're going to be your biggest fan. You're going to be your biggest project, and
Yes.
you're going to always be a work in progress.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's not going to be like a finished thing like at the end of the
Definitely.
day. So like yeah, just giving myself more grace and celebrating the things now.
Yes.
Because I think like
The
I've been
little
they're like,
things.
yeah, man, okay, you know what I'm saying? You did this backpack event, you spoke here, you spoke here. Like you're so busy. And years 1, 2, and 3, I could say like, yeah, I've been busy, but it's a difference in 2024 and 2025 because I think it's not being like booked and busy, it's being like intentional and productive.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not like stretching myself so thin, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna commit to this, commit to this, commit to this, commit to this. And it's like,
Yeah.
dang, bro, I committed to all that. Now I got to sit there and, because your
Now I
word
gotta
is your
do it.
word.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, yo, you got to sit there and show up. So now it's like, yeah, intentionality and being productive for
Yeah.
sure. And just realizing, okay, like, it's okay to say no.
Yes.
It's okay to
I
say
used to
no.
feel guilty
Man,
for
I did
saying
too.
no. Like I could not
I couldn't say
say
no for nothing.
no. I could
Oh, you
not
need
say
me to be
no.
there? Yeah, I'll be there.
Yep.
What time? What time? What you need me? What you need me to do? It's like, God, like, did you even talk to me? Hello, like I gave you the strength.
And
I gave you a hello.
then you get there and get frustrated, mad
Yeah.
at the person, don't like the person.
Hmm.
Like it's always a reason.
And
And
then he'd be
yeah,
like, I didn't tell you to go there in the first
yeah,
place.
yeah,
Uh-huh. You went there the first time, then you went there the second time, and you ain't listen, huh? Okay, somebody was sitting there. Okay, I was
Oh my
talking to you at first. Now I'm
gosh,
screaming at you now. So it's like,
guilty,
yeah, yeah.
guilty.
And I was like, okay. And now I'm sitting there saying no, and I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling good. And now God's like, see, I told you to say no a long time ago. So now that
Uh-huh.
you're sitting there saying no, now you're
Wow.
protecting your peace.
Yeah.
Cool.
I remember one day I had to just continue saying the word no to myself.
Mm.
Like, no, 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 just random no. Because I just couldn't say no. I just couldn't, Jay. I wanted to be at everybody's event.
Yeah, helping every
Every
single body,
yes.
X,
Even
Y, and Z. Then it's like I got my
service.
hands out for everybody else,
Yep.
but now all of a sudden it's like, man, the same. Man, why y'all ain't got your hands out for me?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you
And
drained and you worried.
that's when I learned to like because I was going to a lot of events and losing a lot of kids.
Mm.
So it's like, look, I can't be in both. I can't be showing up to everybody's event and like I would be at an event saying, can I get all the leftover food so I can take it back to the neighborhood with me? Like I was not giving myself any time and yeah, it
And
was
then it's like,
bad.
and it causes burnout and all of that
Oh,
too. And it's a
yes.
lot of it too. So, like, I know for myself, it was just like, okay. And then I think, like, for me earlier, it was just like, okay, what are you doing? Like, you out here,
Mm,
what are you doing, Jay? Like, where's the vision?
yeah.
Where's the vision? Where you going? Like, say
Wow.
something. And then once I had to like write those things down and just redirect it in my journal, I'm like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do today. This is what I'm gonna do tomorrow.
Mm,
This is what this is gonna be. Okay, cool. Now it's all making sense. Now it's all coming together when you're organizing, you're planning, you're executing, giving yourself the grace, giving yourself the time. If you know it's gonna take 2 months to do it, 2 months it is. If it's gonna
yeah.
be 3 months, 3 months it is. And then it's like, you know, removing all the dead weight around you.
Ooh. Ooh.
Like the things you can't carry no more.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes we dwindle on like relationships that
Oh, I'm
things
a
like that.
relationship dweller, okay?
Yeah.
Oh man, I've lost so many relationships
Yeah.
and I always want to go back and tell myself no. No, like you walked away or God took you out of this situation for a reason.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's that type of thing too. So I just have to learn that. I mean,
mhm.
I was learning that as well and just realizing like just understanding that your value and you don't have to
Yeah.
be in spaces where people are like dimming your light so your light can be
Mhm.
dimmed. It's meant to, you meant to shine your light and stuff like that. So
Mm,
yeah. So like
wow.
what keeps you motivated?
What keeps me motivated? Like I remember a few times I wanted to give up. Well, not a few, a lot of times I'm just like, oh, I'm done. But what keeps me motivated is the kids I work with. Like I've been working with some of the kids I work with. I've been working with them since I started. And when I see the youth like excited about Guns Down Friday, rocking the brand, just calling me, asking me, Miss Hardy, do you have any events for us? Do you have anything we can do? Because I've stepped back from events and I let the kids go.
Okay.
I tell them, you guys it's your life, it's your story.
Got you for sure.
I let them do it now. So just to see how excited they are. And a few of my kids, like they've caught charges
Mm.
and like it really it made me feel like what am I doing here? You guys are still in the mix of violence and I had to realize like they live in neighborhoods that are just plagued with violence and it's not a one-time thing, it's a journey with these kids.
Yeah, for sure.
You might have a program, it might be 25 kids, but it's going to be 3 or 4 that are never going to stop calling you,
Right.
are always going to be like you're going to go see them at their basketball games. They just need that extra care
Oh
and
yeah, nah,
that
for sure.
those are the ones that keep me going, that keep me, Miss Hardy, we got to do this. And I remember one kid calling me and was like, "We need to do." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like it was
Yeah.
just so exciting to see the youth like passionate about ending gun violence in their community and wanting to help out. So they really keep me motivated and keep me going.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely would say that. Like, nothing without God, nothing without the
Oh
family and the
yeah,
support system for sure. Like,
definitely.
and I'm just realizing, like, working with the kids, I'm tapping into like my younger self. So, like,
Yeah.
therapy is definitely dope for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely learning a lot about like myself, especially like being a black man in America and just like different things. I think God is stretching me and telling me to, definitely advocate for mental health. So I do hear
Yeah.
you loud and clear, God. I will definitely do that
Yeah.
for sure. Continue to advocate for mental health and letting
Yeah.
people know, like, you know, to speak out on things like that or create safe spaces, because I think that we do need those things, and we do
Definitely.
get caught up with the work being the identity,
Mm-hmm.
especially for like community leaders and people that work with youth. So shout outs to all the educators, everybody that works with
Yes.
youth, because it's not an easy job. It's not a easy task. It's a tall task. So with that, and then also just understanding, like, being a neighbor to your neighbor, I feel like it's so
Mm.
vital and important, and
Yeah.
it looks different. And what I mean by that is not just like, okay, you hopped outside and you checked the mail. Like, if you seen the person, like, hey, yo, you good? Like, you straight? Like, everything is okay? Yo, if you need me to do that, I don't mind doing that for you, because I think that um, we're so quick to tear each other down,
Oh yeah.
and it's so hard to build each other up. But other
Mm-hmm.
people on the outside looking in, and they'd be like, yeah, this is why it's been a collective mess,
Yeah.
as opposed to that. So, like,
Yeah.
you know, praying for the healing and everybody to really like see through and really try to be a neighbor to their
Definitely.
neighbors for real.
I remember growing up, I lived in a rough neighborhood, but my mom, she was we our door stayed unlocked because we lived in an apartment complex, and our house was like the house you can come to get some food. No grants, no funding, just the house you can go to get food, to get prayer. My mom had bought a van, and she would take kids to church with us every Bible study, vacation Bible school. She was that true neighbor. I remember, like, my father, I don't know how he got here, but he ended up following us back and him cheating on my mom. I didn't know this at the time. And the lady he cheated on my mom with, she ended up moving in with us because her house caught on fire.
Wow.
So now, looking back, I said, Mom, why would you ever let someone, you know, that did that stay with us? And she's like, her house caught on fire, Joanna. Like, yeah. But my mom, she was definitely that person who just loved the community, loved helping people. So I feel like that's where I've definitely got that spirit from. So
For sure, and it's
yeah.
definitely embedded, and it definitely shows. And like, I'm constantly praying for you, because I know
Oh,
that there's
thank
a lot of
you.
people that want you to show up and be the super hero that you are.
Hmm.
Obviously, I mean, you're a superstar. You already know that. You already have a bright light. You already know that.
Thank you, Jay.
I just think that the mental capacity and understanding
Yeah.
the calling and the demand, like, just to have that
Hmm.
space so you can just be in the moment, be in the
Yeah.
now, and understand that, and just taking the time for yourself. I think
Hmm.
that's so vital and important, because as you do that, then when those events come, you're going to be rejuvenated, you're going to be refreshed, you're going to
Yeah.
be understanding, and it's going to be like a clear level of focus for you.
Definitely.
And that's what I be trying to tell people, like, in the space. It's like, yo, take your time, take your time, take your breaks. Don't
Yeah.
necessarily feel like you have to be everywhere at every
Hmm.
time. I mean, of course, we may be young and we are climbing up with age. So it's
Yeah.
just being more mindful of what is going to make sense, or what does the year one look like, year two, year three,
Yeah.
year four, year five. Because as you are building and growing, you should be, building a team. And I feel like you successfully have done that, to this point. So now it's going to get to the point where, hey, look, I may play the front sometimes. I may play the back. I
Yeah.
don't got to sit there and do all of it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's the luxury of what you've been building, because that means people are not only invested into Guns Down Friday,
Hmm.
people are invested into you, like
Yeah.
Jawana the person, like
Yes.
Miss Hardy the person. They
Definitely.
believe in what you say. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Definitely. As you're talking, I'm thinking about the partnership I have with Life Enhancement Services. Shout out to Life Enhancement Services. But all of our the kids we work with receive therapy. So that's major. Just like for Guns Down Friday, for the kids we work with, the families we work with, and my load. It really lightens my load to have like community partners that are taking care of the mental health aspect of prevention.
For sure. Well, this was therapy right here.
Yes.
I ain't even gonna lie. This was therapy. This was a lot going
You got
on.
my mind going. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
man, this is
I get some
therapy.
things I need to do. Okay?
Nah, for
things I
sure. Like
need
this
to
was,
get done.
yeah, this was therapy for sure. And I think that, it's always rejuvenating to, talk about community, talk about advocacy, and just
Yeah.
like letting people know, like, yes, we are, phenomenal people that are doing dope and amazing things in the community. But guess what, y'all? We human.
We are human.
We human. Like we go through the emotions,
So
we go through the same things
human.
and all of those things too. So like, be heavy on the grace to the people around you.
Yes.
Please
Yes.
do, because like I said, we ain't perfect, but guess
Uh-huh.
what? We could be amazing.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I want y'all to
agree.
know that. So with that being said, y'all, the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. And we out.
Soundstripe.